One of the things that I failed to mention yesterday is that you begin to lose abilities as you age. I'm having difficulty hearing people. Sometimes it's intentional. Other times it's just organic. In your case, it's organic. I just can't hear you. I mean, first you're very soft spoken. Part of it has to do with your tradition. The other part has to do with your temperament. But regardless, I can't hear you.
Are you coming to our graduation?
No.
Why?
That's a really, really good question. It's a lot of people there. And then the idea of people like undressing themselves and throwing their gowns and hats and things up in the air and seeing all those naked bodies, it's just, wait, what are we talking about? I'm just kidding. You guys didn't find that funny? What the hell is this? So, no, I probably won't show up. I've been teaching for 30 some odd years now. I have never once went to the graduation, never once to a football game or a basketball game. I didn't even go to my own graduation. I didn't go to my sisters or my brothers. I didn't even go to my teacher's funeral service. I mean, that's like graduation from life. So, do you want me to come? How about this? I'll make you a deal. Why don't I skip going to your graduation? You have a sister? You have a brother? That's no good. You can come to the house by yourself. You can meet the family. We'll give you some Persian food. We'll sit. We'll talk a little. And then, do you drive? I'll get you an Uber. And you can Uber yourself home. Is that good? We are not cannibalists. Just in case you're wondering. Think about it. Let me know. I think it's a great deal. Can you babysit?
Free?
I'm giving you free food. Yeah, I'm paying for your Uber. I've given you all these free A's. That's it? What are you graduating from? Oleni? I remember when my daughter said, "Dad, are you coming to my graduation?" I said, "It's kindergarten. What am I supposed to come there for?" And she went to first grade. "Are you coming to it?" "No." "And college?" "No." Coming to any of this. That's just like child stuff. Laney is different, of course. I mean, how often do you find people graduating from UC Laney? Forgive me, I don't mean to make fun of it. I'll show up in some shape or form. So, sounds good? We'll make Persian food. Do you like Ethiopian food? You do? Okay, I'll have my wife make you injera and shira and all that because she is from Ethiopia. Sounds okay? Okay then, it's a go. All right, anyone else with anything interesting before we go home? Yeah.
So I want to see what your guess is. I think it's a little funny. If I applied to Berkeley, do you think I got it or not?
What department?
Interdisciplinary studies.
So it's not very impacted.
No, not too much.
So you probably got in.
No.
You didn't get in?
No. I did not get in either. I got waitlisted.
You got what?
I got waitlisted.
Oh, waitlisted. That sucks. Yeah, it means that someone needs to die or either end themselves or someone ending them, or they go to a different school. And that depends also on what number you are on the wait list. You know, you could be number 1, you could be number 5. If you're number 5, it means 4 people need to, like, and it also depends on, you know, the people who got in, how well they slept with the committee members who were looking at the applications. That's a hint for you. You need to, like, sleep with someone. Just figure out who the members are. Find the cutest, the youngest, bribe them in some shape or form, and you'll be in. And Berkeley really isn't that great of a school. I mean, it's one thing for you to want to stay around because your parents are here, your friends are here, you have your roots here. It's dirty, it's smelly. UCLA is good. Did you apply to UCLA? See, there's your first mistake. UCLA is next to, well, it's on Westwood. Lots of Persians, people like me. Lots of Persian restaurants. Are you hetero? Lots of Persian girls. They are so exotic. And you know, it's just a nice big campus filled with Persians.
You want to go to UCLA?
Do I? No, I had a friend there who went there and got her PhD in, like, mechanical engineering. And once I realized that that's her field, I just broke up with her. Whatever school you get in. I mean, look, the bachelor's program or degree is not as important. I mean, it's good that you can get to Berkeley or UCLA, but if you're able to go to any school and get a relatively good GPA, then your master's program becomes most important. So if you go to Yale or Berkeley or UCLA, that counts. You know, the bachelor is, does it help graduating from Berkeley as opposed to East Bay? Absolutely. But what other schools did you apply?
I applied to UCR, UC Davis, one other one. I forget which one it was, but really, I'm trying to stay here in the Bay. So my options were essentially go to Berkeley or go to Cal State.
Down East Bay. It's just East Bay. I mean, even the name is unattractive. San Francisco would be good. Davis is great. Davis is a college town. It's very safe. It's very clean. You can steal bikes and sell them. That's what we used to do. Skylar, why do you keep laughing? I'm not even saying anything funny. I'm trying to teach you guys how to live the right way. Davis is good, but East Bay is good too. You could stay, do you have 60 college units?
Yeah.
Well, you could spend another semester taking, you know, classes and then applying again and see where it goes. You may have a good chance. I don't know how many of you guys in this class know Chris Rubin, who's at Princeton. So she applied to Princeton the first time for philosophy, I think. He didn't get in. He applied the second time for religious studies. He got in. So, include in your application a picture, show some skin. Good luck. Anyone else? Carmen? That's it? Are we done? Caitlin? Nothing? Scarlett? Anna? Excellent. Jason? Anna, go ahead.
I guess, I don't know. Can you speak on self-awareness?
Probably not.
Okay, that was good. I appreciate that.
Marco, don't be an ass. Oh, self-awareness. You guys are so funny. You guys are like so young. It's like featherweight jumping into a ring with Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali. These are like heavyweight questions. This culture, man. To be burdened with such big things at such a young age, it's like, you're 5 and you have to sit on the sofa while your parents are telling you that they're divorcing. Dad, I'm only 5. Can you give me like 10 years? Say, no, honey, this is very important. For you, yeah, not for me. You're 10, you go to the therapist. What are you here for? I want to be self-aware. What? You're 10. Go get some Legos. Martel, do you ever YouTube Muhammad Ali and some of the things he says?
Yeah, but I can't words exactly what he said.
No, it doesn't matter. Just he's an amazing guy. It's true that when he got a little older, he kind of lost it a little, but while he was young and fresh, amazing. Just amazing man. Yeah. Self-awareness. My kids were going to school this morning, and so I called them and said, "So, where are you guys going?" "School." I said, "Yuck." I said, "Yeah, I know, Dad." "Where are you going?" I said, "I am at school." "Are you going to have fun?" He said, "No, I've never liked school. So can we drop out?" "Yeah, if you wanted to." And I said, "What do you guys want to have for dinner?" "Oh, well, I just want to have like some plain rice." "Anything on the rice?" "No, just plain rice." Realizing that I don't like the idea of going home and just having plain rice, I began my advertisement. "How about like Chinese food?" "No." Okay. "Sushi?" "No." Okay. "Ethiopian food?" "No." "How about we go to In-N-Out?" "No." "How about if I get you guys chicken tikka masala?" "Yes." And so on their way to school, they called me like 5 times. "Can you get samosa too?" "Sure, okay." "Pakora too?" Yeah. And make sure you get 2 garlic naans instead of 1. "Okay." "Are you going to get mixed vegetables?" "Okay, yeah." "What else do you want?" "Can you get dosas?" "No, they don't have dosas there." "Can you drive to this other place?" "No, fuck you, I'm not getting you dosas." Okay? And then I sat and I asked myself, hello, how did this happen? Kids who usually don't call me, all of a sudden they keep calling me because of my advertisements. Chicken, tikka masala, Indian food. So this idea of self-awareness, sometimes I wonder how it was advertised to people and why it was advertised to people and when it was advertised to people. So your question of self-awareness, it's a very strange thing, you know. Sometimes you're exposed to certain things at the wrong time in your life and it just ruins you. Divorce isn't bad, but telling the kids that you're divorcing when they're like 18 or 19 or 20 is very different than when they're like 5. At the age of 5, you can ruin them. At the age of 20, they say, good luck, Dad, I'll try to look for a companion for you. It has its benefits. You become, of course, much more reflective. You begin to live an examined life. In some ways, it could be very good. In many ways, it could be very, 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 very bad. I don't know if you keep a journal, and I don't know what you write in your journal. Imagine if your companion was to find your journal and read through the pages. She has the power to do so, and she has the knowledge to read, and she has the knowledge to some extent to comprehend what exactly it is that she's reading. But the ability to process, that's a very, very different phenomenon. So you write in your journal that yes, you've come to this class and you have found yourself slowly falling in love with Joe Schmo. That's a great piece of information, But then your companion reads this and says, what am I here for then? And then that ruins the way she looks at you, or he. So, self-awareness. Have you heard of that book? What was that book that guy was talking about? Oh, you weren't there in class yesterday. There's a book called The Four Agreements. You guys read it? There is another book called the New Testament. Have you heard that? The Four Gospels? Yeah, it's like another book, Conversation with God, or Course in Miracles, or the Quran, or the Dhammapada. All these funny little ridiculous books. They're great, don't get me wrong. Anyways, anyone else? Why do you want to be self-aware? Look. You've seen the movie The Matrix, right? Look at Thomas Anderson. Does he have roommates? No, he's lonely. He's pathetic. And every night when he goes home, what is he doing? He's looking for a man. Who's the man? Morpheus. What does that mean? The god of dreams. You have dreams. Your dreams are like tiny. Morpheus, on the other hand. Nebuchadnezzar. You know who Nebuchadnezzar was? He was this Babylonian king, where God comes to him in a dream and says, you need to go to this temple, mostly occupied by Jews and all those things, and destroy them. Why? They have ceased to worship the owner of the house. They just worship the house. It's like you go to church and you look at the stained glass and the statues, and there is nothing wrong with admiring the structure, but that particular container has an owner, and his name is Yahweh or Elohim or El Shaddai or Jesus or Allah or whatever. If you examine the life of Thomas Anderson, you realize he lives in room 101. He's a young man who lives in conflict. He doesn't want to be part of the matrix. Even though he works for Meta Cortex, he knows that from 9 in the morning till 5, he's a puppet, moved around by the forces of society. I can't tell you, Anna, that almost 90% of my students under the age of 21, they all ask hippie-like questions. Like, I want to leave society. I want to live in the woods. And in essence, what they're saying to me is that you as an adult have created a mess of a world. It's a world not worth living in. School sucks. Getting a job sucks. Making money to just pay for utilities. I got my PG&E bill this month. They charged me $400 just for delivery. Not even the usage, delivery. So even if I sit on my ass and light candles every single day, I'll still be charged $400. Someone like Donald Trump pays $1,000 in taxes. Ask your parents. They probably have to pay over $10,000. I mean, there is nothing about the sort of civilizations that we have created that you can be proud of. Everything sucks. And so most of your young students say, I want to leave. I want to go somewhere where I can kind of be around decency, innocence, purity, creativity. And so Thomas Anderson works for Caesar from 9 to 5. When he goes home, he's looking for Morpheus. He wants a different kind of a life. Even when he is invited to go to this club and dance and mingle with other people, you know what he does? He stands in a corner, doesn't talk to anyone. He isolates himself. He has lost social abilities. Thomas Anderson is a man who is looking for self-awareness. Remember the name Thomas? There are 2 Thomases in the New Testament. One happens to be the guy who betrayed Jesus. The other happens to be his brother who went to India. And as a result, we have Thomist Christians in certain parts of India. His twin. But what you have is Thomas, the doubting disciple of Jesus. Is he the Messiah? Is he a fake? Is he the Messiah? Is he a fake? Anderson, 2 words, Ander and son. You put the 3 letters together or 3 words together, what you have is son of man who doubts. That's Thomas Anderson. Because he wants self-awareness, he just doesn't know who to trust. His middle initial is A for Alpha. He wants the beginning, that's his dream. How many friends does he have in the Matrix? 0. A person who desires self-awareness comes across a lot of fake counterfeits. It's like that book that was written by C.S. Lewis, Screwtape Letters. The guy is looking for a genuine Christian, so he goes to all these churches to find one. All counterfeit. Every single one of them is fake. And the devil tells, this young man that it's good. That's what the church is designed to do, create fake Christians, fake Muslims, fake Buddhists. So, self-awareness. How old are you? One of these days I'll invite you to my house. Not really, but let's just say. When you come to my house, you realize that there are all these sofas there and all these chairs and tables there. All the cabinets are full of junk. The fridge has food that dates back some decades. Everywhere is cluttered. In the past 18 years, you've accumulated a lot of experiences, Anna. A lot of books you've read. Unprocessed experiences that has given you a good amount of assumptions, information, not so much knowledge that you can use in a healthy way. You need to be given eyes, like brand new eyes, that you can go back into your life and begin to look at your experiences anew and break them apart process them in hopes of understanding. But with the eyes you currently have, it's not workable. It's not possible. But what saves you is that you're young enough and curious enough to once in a while overcome your past and look at things in a fresh way. But it's not sufficient. Imagine the desire to be self-aware is very much like a desire to learn how to play the piano. The only difference is that when you sit at the piano and you bang on the keys, there is something about you that recognizes that you don't play harmoniously. That in fact it begins to bother your ears, it begins to give you a headache, and you have this distaste about yourself. You walk away saying, I really suck at playing the piano. And it's because it's something you can touch and see and taste. And other people are there to tell you, Anna, can you please stop playing? The desire for self-awareness is very, very different because we are guided by faculties that we can't see. They transcend the senses. And because of the element of pride, it gives you the illusion that you actually think you know what you're doing. And pride is further encouraged by sloth. That every time doubt comes in and you want to really examine and reflect earnestly, you realize it's too much work. So you go back to the old platform. Okay. So, let's talk about self-awareness in a different way. Imagine you have a stomachache the way I had one a couple weeks ago. You become aware of what? All of you is condensed to what? Stomachache. If someone asks you, Anna, who are you? Stomachache. Who do you worship? Stomachache. What is your entire focus on? Stomachache. Who do you love? It's a love-hate relationship, really. Stomachache. And you realize that pain makes you aware of the fact that you, in fact, do have a physical body, and that physical body is not healthy, i.e. your stomach. That's one self that you pay attention to. And it's because of the pain. And then you go home to your companion, whoever this person may be, and he or she looks at you and says, Anna, I don't want to be with you. Why, you ask? I have found a different companion whose name is Anne. Well, just remove the A from my name and I'll be an Anne. And all of a sudden you realize, well, your pain is not so much physical, but emotional. You don't think about your stomachache because you don't have pain there. What you do care about is this relationship having gone astray. Now you have emotional pain. Okay? When you go to church, you don't say, oh, Father, where is my kingdom of God? You say, can you bring Anne back to Anna? That's what you do. So we're talking about a different self and a different part of you being aware of certain deficiencies. And then there is this part of you, and let's say that you come to this class and you happen to be a Buddhist or a Christian or a Muslim, and you and I begin to have a conversation, and I make you feel foolish because you just don't know anything about anything. And what you have is an avalanche, an earthquake in your belief system. Now what you have is emotional pain. Some emotional pains have to do with, young kids watching their parents divorced at the age of 5, and that poison is just inside them. So emotional pain has to do with something that just has deep roots inside you. Okay. Some people just have intellectual pain. What does Karl Marx mean by an alienated self? What is the id? What is ego for Plato? What are the shadows in Carl Jung's philosophy? What is the Brahman? Now, I don't know what exactly you mean by self-awareness. I'm guessing you don't really have a stomachache, or you don't need to pee because you're sitting comfortably. I don't know much about your psychological/emotional world because I don't know you too well. So I'm not really quite sure what exactly about your past, if any, you'd like to discover. Okay. And I doubt very much you care too much about your current relationship to have that worry you. Okay. Maybe you have issues in all departments. But there is a different kind of self-awareness. And let me do that by going to the Gospel of Matthew, the Beatitude. Blessed are the poor in spirit. How does one get blessed? How do you get blessed? I mean, can you just barge into the king's mansion and demand that he knights you? No, you have no power over the king. He must have heard a few things that, oh, you're such a brave soldier, you've killed like 50,000 people. Or maybe he has seen you, then he invites you to his court, he looks at you, asks you to bend over, and then he knights you. That's a blessing. I don't know who is qualified to be blessed. So that's the first thing you need to understand. Now, you can have your own like emotional junk about you that you can say, oh yes, I think God likes me because I go to church or the mosque or whatever. Because people, have all sorts of illusions about themselves. You ever been poor, Anna? When you're poor, you become a beggar. If you read the story of Saint Francis of Assisi, he came from a very, very rich background. His father was in the textile business. He had 50 houses in Oakland, and he had all these people working for him. And eventually, he has this ridiculous experience when he's somewhere fighting some enemy out there. He comes back, he falls into a coma, wakes up from it, and comes to realize that his father is no good, his mother is no good, society is no good. That he, in fact, has come to understand that human beings do not live by bread alone. But you can only claim that particular statement when your belly is full. You can say money is no good when you've been a millionaire for many, many years and you spend most of your money on cars, on drugs, on sex, on TVs, on mansions, on travel. Then at the end of the day, you realize, well, money allowed you to distract yourself for the past 10 years, but ultimately you've come back home to Oakland. And what waits for you? Nothing. All you have are some crummy memories that can no longer do anything for you. That's St. Francis. And when they ask him what exactly it is that you want to do, he says, after some pause, he says, yes, I want to be a beggar. It's like, I want to live an examined life. That everywhere I go, whatever I see, whatever I do, I want to put a question mark after it. Why? I want to understand. You're hungry to understand everything that comes your way. So, there is a piece of advertisement that connects you to your physical body, and that's called a bellyache. There is another piece of advertisement that connects you to feelings and emotions that is in the category of your companion looking at you saying you suck as a human being and as a companion. There is another aspect to you that is caused by your past, by belief systems that are challenged. If you consider blessing to be a gift, some people don't have capacity to receive what's being given to them. I mean, go home tonight and read a book. Let's just call the book, I don't know, Daughter of Fire. Can you read? Yeah. Do you know alphabets? Yeah. Do you know words? Yeah. Can you dimly understand? Yeah. But just because you have the book in your hand and just because you're able to read, it doesn't mean that you have the blessings to really understand. You just read. So even if blessings come your way, it doesn't mean you have the capacity to receive. Okay. To be poor is to be hungry. How do you make someone hungry? Every time your hand goes up, Anna, in this class, you ask about your grade. And after like 14 weeks of spending time in this room, I say, man, every time this kid comes to this class, all that Anna asks is my grade this and my grade that. You're hungry for a grade. And for the past 14 weeks, I talk about love, I talk about wisdom, I talk about Socrates. Never once have I heard you ask questions about Socrates, or love, or wisdom, and where you need to go to find them. You're not hungry for that. You're blessed to ask questions about your grade, but not love, not wisdom, not Socrates. You're not hungry. So the next question is, well, how do you become hungry? That's if your question about self-awareness has to do with, I am looking for a self that can't be touched or tasted or heard or smelled. You know, Karl Marx was a philosopher. His father was a lawyer. And when his dad told him, son, you should continue philosophy so you could be a lawyer, he looks at his father and says, Dad, lawyers are like parasites. You know what a parasite is? It's like a beautiful little bug that. So are we? You have anything? Go ahead.
In a political environment, how do you sort what you're learning when you're learning? How do you sort what is versus
What is useful?
um, uh, pursue the, what you're learning in terms of not from both politically or socially, where you instead how do you choose is better
Have you ever been to Iran? Don't go. It's a beautiful country. In 1979, there was this huge revolution. It was beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been in revolutions. I'm not talking about like the Occupy movement where you have, 10 people walking and screaming about ridiculous things. I mean, it's not ridiculous, but a mass movement, like a revolution, is very, very, very different. You're talking about an entire country coming together, like 40 million people every single day in the streets, screaming and shouting. And it's like a tsunami coming your way, that even if you happen to be a very indifferent bystander, it just sucks you in it. And all of a sudden you realize you're marching with people, I mean, it's like you sitting back and listening to Martin Luther King's speech. It's about 20 minutes or so. I don't know what it is, but just the way he is, just the way he expresses, just the way the sort of language he uses. You don't even care about politics. You don't even care about people, any kind of people, regardless of color. But all of a sudden you realize, man, you know, you really care now. One of the things about inspiration is that it really puts to pause your ability to reflect. I mean, it's like you're going out with a drunk. Everything about this person is just wrong. Wrong for your kids, wrong for you. But you love him. And that love, it's kind of like it puts this blinder on your face. And you can't see anything except love. And love gives you hope. And hope just removes reality from your life. I mean, you've been with this loser for the past like 5 years. You know how awful this person is. Why would you want to be around him? You love him. Okay? Now, the truth is, if you don't become emotional, there is never a movement. But here's the thing. You don't need common people to be reflective. You don't need common people to think. You need common people to be emotional junkies. You don't need people to understand Jesus Christ. You need to make sure they just have blind faith. Because emotional junkies are more than willing to put their lives at risk. Okay? Now, once in a while, you see these cars with the American flag. I don't know if you've traveled. There is no country in Europe you can go where they have a flag of their country, you know, sticking to the window. It's only here. People like walking around, they have a flag, backpack flag. They have like American flag toilet, what do you call it? Toilet paper. You know, and when you kind of tell them, well, do you know much about the history of this country? Do you know what the CIA has done for the past like 40 years? All the covert and overt operations? And you guys know, educated people don't get emotional too easily because in the process of being educated, you have to sit back. You have to understand. And then you have to write essays. And you have to some extent, put the emotions within the container of reflection. You approach things in a very detached way. So you have one Karl Marx, one. Then you have followers. You have one Gandhi, one who understands. Then you have followers. You have one Malcolm X, then you have followers. So what you need is this. You need someone who can stand back and study. Okay? Understand what he or she is studying. Then that person needs to be given a stage. Then that person screams and shouts. And then other people get emotional. And then they go back into the street. Now what you have is a movement. And that movement does not revolve around the common person, but how they have been infected by someone who has studied, observed, understood, and has the ability to express. Now, let's say that you take a social and political philosophy class, or let's say you take a sociology class, or let's say you take a political science class, and that class revolves around the ideas of Karl Marx. Do you know much about Karl Marx? So let me give you like a cliff note. Because such people, they have very, very, very interesting lives. No different than Malcolm, no different than Gandhi, no different than Jesus, no different than the Buddha. I mean, they're just very interesting. Marx is not a very good-looking man. And he's not very rich. But he likes a girl whose name happens to be Jenny. Jenny is very rich. I mean, her family owns like half of Oakland. Now, Jenny has lots of people coming to her parents saying, I would like to marry your daughter, Jenny. And parents, are you a parent? We desire safety for our kids. We want them to be happy. We don't want them to go out with losers. And so Jenny has all these wonderful men coming to her saying, marry me. I have, a house here, a house there. I have this much in my bank account. I'm filthy rich. She says no. She falls in love with Marx. And she says, I know that Marx has zero cash in his pocket, but there is something about him that I know, I feel he has something to give to humanity. I mean, you need to understand. I mean, we are not talking about the 21st century where people are casual. We're talking about the 19th century. A woman who is so mature that she sees, has a different definition for beauty. Beauty is not money. Beauty is not Brad Pitt. Beauty is how well can you think. I mean, this is an exceptional woman. Even Marx's father goes to Jenny and says, listen, can you please not marry my son? He's a disaster. He'll ruin you. I mean, consider this. Your own father going to the person you want to marry, trying to convince them that their kid is no good for them. Marx would get drunk. Marx would get into duels, Russian roulette. He was a complete mess. Charles Darwin had 10 kids. Busy man. I mean, in the bedroom, not what he did on Beagle and that stuff. Hello, Carmen. 3 of them died, of course. So he was left with only 7. A man with no money, but rich in thought, comes to this class. She's on her cell phone. He's like daydreaming. Who the hell knows what that guy is doing? He never shows up. She's like drunk. He's like asleep. It's a factory. What is the function of a factory? Do you know how much money the district gets paid? You being here? $4,000 to $6,000. We are a money-making machine. No one really cares about your education. No one cares about who you are, what you are, where you've been, where you want to go. It's a factory. The only difference between this class and a factory is the following. You have to get up at 4 in the morning to get to the shop by 5. Then you work till about 10. Then you go home exhausted. And you know how old you are? You're like one of those kids in Florida. You're about 10, maybe 6. You sit back and you watch people being ruined. I see people being ruined on a daily basis. I just don't care. You have to be profoundly sensitive and keep your sensitivities very open and embrace pain on a daily basis so you can go home, think and write and try to understand. And you have to be okay with not having money. You have to be okay with living in a bedroom. For like 5, 6 years, the only thing that Karl Marx and his family ate, bread and potatoes. Who is willing to make those sacrifices? I don't know if you've ever taken a sociology class, but if you haven't, you should. And you'll get to a chapter, I suppose, something about, I don't know what it is, social deviance or something, where there is a tiny paragraph about Karl Marx. It's not even a chapter. It's a tiny paragraph. A tiny little face of Karl Marx on a page, about maybe 10, 15 lines about what he said, what he did, and that's it. A guy who gave birth to a certain philosophical tradition that consumed 3/4 of the world's population is only given a tiny little paragraph. And the instructors that you get, myself included, we are not proficient. We give you cliff notes. He was expelled from Germany. He was expelled from France. He was expelled from Belgium. You know how difficult it is? The moment you land somewhere, you get yourself a place, 10 minutes later, they kick you out. It creates this like union, this organization for all the workers to gather. No one shows up. With what money he had, he buys guns to overthrow governments. He gets caught. And then, of course, he gets sick and dies. And all we give him, of course, is a paragraph. But what Marx did is the following. He is a man who sits back and studies. You read his works and it's beautiful. And you want to go out there and change the world. I say all the stuff to go back to what I had mentioned about the revolution in Iran. I can't tell you how many people died in front of me and how many people we took to the cemetery, washed their bodies, and put them in a hole. That was about 45 years ago. And let me tell you the result of that revolution. For 40 years, this new regime has suffocated its people. 1 out of every 2 marriages fall apart. Depression is on the rise. Suicide is on the rise. There is no money. People are just poor. The music is sad. People are sad. They have nothing. And you sit back and you say, was it worth it? While you're inspired, yes, it's worth it. Once the inspiration goes away and your wings are clipped and you are grounded, and now you have the ability to reflect back and examine your behavior, say, no, it wasn't worth it. Some of the people in this room are over the age of 25. When they dropped out of school at the age of 18, saying, oh, I want to go to the forest, I don't like the city life, I want to be like a Gilgamesh or an Enkidu, right? You're inspired, that's great, because you read a book, maybe you watch Harry Potter, who the care? No one knows really what inspired you, but you're inspired nevertheless. Time passes. What happens? You sit back and you say, yeah, I've learned a few things, but I should have stayed in school. Reflection always ruins things, always. It leads you to inaction. That's what reflection does. Okay. Now, let's say you're mature enough to be both a reflective animal as well as an emotional one. Now you want to make some changes. Let's say that you don't think I teach well. And let's just say you don't like my personality or the way I use language, whatever. And you go home, you speak to your father and you say, you know what, I want to change my professor. I want to teach him how to speak differently, think differently, express ideas differently. That's a losing battle for you. You're 20, I'm 62, I'm an old dog. Even if I know that there are certain things that are wrong about me, I can't change them. It's called habit. Habit creates comfort. That's who I am. What you can do though, Carmen is interested. She's curious. Why don't you go inspire her? Why don't you become her friend? Why don't the two of you create this community? And then the two of you can wrestle with ideas. And if you have anything good about you, she'll gravitate towards your position. Now that's the battle that you could win. I can't reach the White House. I can't reach people like Jim Jordan Kennedy's. They're too big. They're like the Greek pantheon. They're way up there. You know. I can't even change the deans I have, or the vice president, or the president, or the chancellor. I have no power. So what I do, I look around and I say, okay, you know what? Martel keeps looking at me and he keeps winking at me. I'm just kidding. Twitch or no twitch, he's winking. Say, he wants to be a boxer. Whether he loves the sport or does it for money, I don't really know. I don't really care. But they say, well, he has a past. That past, in some ways, it's useful. In many ways, it's useless. It's an obstacle. Now, that is a fight that I'm willing to go into and try it for a few days to see if I can convince him to stay in school. Because there is no one else I can reach. I won't even tell him to stay in school for philosophy. Go somewhere. Do computer science. At the same time, do boxing. If you prosper in boxing, good for you. You can be the next like George Foreman, okay, or Floyd Mayweather, okay? If you figure out that boxing is a losing battle for you, at least you have a computer science degree where you can go somewhere. You know, Silicon Valley, make yourself about $150,000 a year. I guess the point I'm trying to make is understand your environment, look at it. Try to remove any self-deceptions from you if you can. False narratives that you may have created about yourself and your capacities. Figure out the forces in that physical environment. Understand which forces you can get rid of and which forces you can't get rid of. You know, kind of like what Morpheus says to Thomas Anderson. You know, there are certain things that you can bend and there are certain things you can break. You can break some people in a useful and beneficial way for yourself as well as for them. Some things you can bend. Maybe you and I can just wrestle for 5-10 minutes. And once you understand the environment, then you can kind of make your decision wisely. The other thing I would say, as I said to my class yesterday, from an immigrant perspective, stay in school. get your degree, that gets you power. And with enough power, then you'll have more access to make changes. Right now, you have zero power. You know, there is nothing you can do to homeless people if you got no money, if you got no food. You know, if you really want to benefit a homeless person, well, give them clothes, give them money on a regular basis. But for that, you need to have a very stable life. Otherwise, you'll just be reduced to ideas. And what are words? Nothing. They have nothing in them. They're stupid. William? Anything? Yes. You do. Go ahead. I'm sorry to, yeah. It's okay though. Go ahead. It can be anything. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, what's your take on the idea that love doesn't exist and it's just like a method of survival? Like, everything you do just seems like nice and compassionate.
William, I love you. I'm just kidding. No, you don't.
But yeah, it's like the idea that like, say like walking out of the class, someone trips, I help them up. It's the idea that I'm not doing that because I'm such like a good, loving person. I'm doing that because in like a survival situation, like if we look back to caveman times, if I were to trip, someone helping me up might be the difference between me being like caught by a pack of wolves and not being caught by.
Can I change the scenario a little bit?
Sure.
Thank you. Imagine I'm brown. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
And imagine you're a Nazi. Can you imagine that?
I guess so, yeah.
Good job. Now imagine if I trip and fall. You're going to be happy or sad? Come on, William. You know what the right answer is? This is not Jeopardy.
Probably happy.
There you go!
But I don't know if that's really.
It's true. It's very true. Imagine that you're not a Nazi, but just a regular chap, just the way you are now. As you walk out of the room, you look at me, and I look at you, and I give you a very, very harsh and mean and violent look, where you feel as if you're peeing your pants. As I'm walking towards you, I trip and I fall. What then? Are you going to bend over to help me up?
Yeah, probably.
You are not.
No, I am because you're my teacher. And so
I didn't put that in the equation. You're not. I didn't put that. I'm not. I'm just a regular chap standing outside, one waiting for you to come out, and I'm looking at you meanly. You're not going to help me up. Now imagine that you're walking out of the class, and there I am sitting, and I happen to be 80 with a cane. And as I try to stand, my cane slips, and I hit the ground, face down. What now?
yeah,
What are the differences in those situations? Because remember, all these situations are nothing but pieces of advertisement. And every piece of advertisement creates its own unique force. And that force generates specific emotions about you that will either help you walk towards me or help you walk away from me. there is also this other aspect to the complexity of who and what we are. Inasmuch as I believe that we lose a good amount of our instinctual abilities, we still have them. There is something about you that just rises up. You don't need to know me. You don't even need to like me. Sometimes you look at a homeless person and you happen to be one of those callous, selfish pieces of shit that humanity has ever seen. But once in a while, you're overtaken by a certain mood, and I don't know what that is and how it happens. Your eyes meet, and something about you opens up. And it's not because you're a Christian or a Buddhist or a Hindu. None of those things really matter. Something profoundly instinctual, okay, that taps into something about you, where you put your hand in your pocket and you give this man $20. And we experience this on a daily basis. I mean, look, I'm teaching these short-term classes, 8 weeks long, and they started, I don't know, about 4 weeks ago. So I get an email last night from the student whom I dropped. She said, one of the reasons I couldn't do any of the work, and I didn't log in, is because, well, my dad died, and then my mom died, and then my dog died, and then I lost my pen. Also, I got accepted to UC Berkeley, and your class is required. I go back into the moments where I was a student, and I didn't care for classes, and I didn't care for school, and all I wanted to do is just to somehow finish school and just get it off of my back. Do I know this person? No. Do I care for this person? No. Do I care about her future? No. All I know is that it sucks to be a student. It sucks to be young. It sucks to have no GPS. And it would also suck for someone like me who has the power to have this person go to school, for me to become an obstacle. For what? A stupid class? A stupid grade? This whole thing is a joke. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to get you back to class. Now, that's all I can do. I'm not going to write her essays. I'll be more than willing to give her an F should nothing come my way. Okay? But on a very human-to-human element, something about me happens. Now, if she hadn't reached out, I wouldn't have cared less. Now, let's say you don't come to this class often. And let's say you don't really submit any work. And let's say you come to my office the very last day. And let me give you like a couple of footnotes, hints. You come to my office like with bags upon bags upon bags of coffee, French dark roast. You say, Amir, I just got accepted to UC Merit. I need to pass your class. Now, I'm not giving you these coffees as bribes, but I was just thinking about you because I love you. Here are the coffees. I just need to pass this class. But the coffee is not for a bribe. And also, I can't really submit any work. But in one of the bags, I put some cash there by mistake, not a bribe. And I look at you, you're 18. What 18-year-olds knows what the hell they're doing? No 18-year-old. All 18-year-olds are stupid. They're still trying to figure themselves out. Now, is it true that if I was to fail you and have you repeat the class, you'll be at a different maturity stage where you actually could benefit from the class? Yes. Is it also true that if I was to pass you, you'd remain just the way you came in, dumb? But at least you'd be in a 4-year school. Yes. Which is more beneficial? For me, as an immigrant, as a 62-year-old man who knows a few things about a few things, I'm going to give you a passing grade. But all of that depends. Did you look at me meanly? Are you a Nazi? Are you an old man with a cane? And when you come to my office at the age of 18 begging for a passing grade, you're an old man with a cane. Now, maybe part of your question is, can human beings be altruistic? Can we ever do anything for anyone that doesn't benefit us in some shape or form, even emotionally?
Yeah.
Who cares? You know, if I see you being homeless, and if I have a tent in the backyard and I'm not using it, I'll give it to you. And if that makes me feel good, well, fuck, good for me. I don't give a shit about these philosophical point of views. Can human beings altruistic or are we eternally selfish? Who cares? That's just armchair philosophy, man. Someone sitting in their office, thinking thoughts and then coming to class and contaminating the rest of us. And next time you see a homeless person, you want to give him 20, there is this feeling about you, William, if you give this 20, it's going to make you feel good. So your intentions are not right. So you know what? Fuck the homeless. Just go your way. When you're like Jesus Christ, then come back. You're never going to be Jesus Christ. They give the goddamn money away, man. So what if the byproduct gives you feeling good? So what? Don't descend to where philosophers are. They're no good. Is it? Oh, you're showing me your fingers. Let me see. Carmen is telling me that it's time to go. Is it true? Well, I guess Thursday it is. Have a nice day.
So, you're going to be on campus tomorrow at the same time?
Tomorrow?